The morning smelled like fresh clay and lemon cleaner. Ryan dragged his mop across the company's private tennis court, humming under his breath. Single dad. Night shift janitor. Sleepless eyes, but gentle hands. The sun was just a thin gold ribbon on the horizon, and the sprinklers made a soft hiss, like steam coming off a kettle. He was almost done when laughter cut through the quiet. Expensive shoes clicked on the pavement. A small crowd strolled in, executives in crisp polos, interns with phones out, a couple of clients who looked like they golfed more than they breathed. In the middle of them, Alina Kane, the CEO. Tall. Razor-sharp. A white visor casting a deliberate shadow across her eyes. She twirled a graphite racket like it was a piece of jewelry. "Court's ready?" she asked, not looking at Ryan, just through him. He nodded. "Yes, Her gaze landed on his old, scuffed racket leaning against the maintenance cart. The grip was frayed, the frame was a memory. "You play?" she asked, amused. The crowd turned. Phones tilted. Ryan's mouth tugged into the faintest smile. "Not really. Just, used to." "Used to?" Her eyebrow rose. "I like confidence." She flicked a ball into the air and sliced it lazily. It kissed the baseline with a smug little bounce. "Tell you what," she looked him up and down, a challenge disguised as a joke. "Beat me in one set, and I'll marry you." The court went silent. Then came the laughter, big, echoing, a little too loud. Someone snorted. Someone whispered, as if. Another voice, "Bro, film this." Ryan didn't flinch. He kept his eyes on the bright yellow ball rolling near his shoe. He bent, picked it up, felt the felt. There was a tremor in his fingers. Not fear. Memory. "I don't need that bet," he said softly. His voice carried anyway. "But if I win, you'll fund full health coverage for every cleaner and guard in this building. And a scholarship for employees' kids." He paused. "Deal?" The crowd traded glances. The joke had turned into something sticky. Real. Alina studied him. The visor shadow shifted. "You're serious?" "I am." She smiled, all teeth. "Fine. Make it entertaining." He lifted his old racket. The grip warmed under his palm like it had been waiting. His daughter's face flashed in his mind, Noor, 8 years old, with paint on her fingers and a fearless smile. He heard her voice. "You still got it, Baba." Ryan breathed in. Clay, lemon, and the sharp, electric scent of possibility. "Game on," he said. As the crowd settled into their seats, an old security guard at the back squinted, leaning forward like he'd seen this face, this stance, somewhere before. Ryan's locker sat at the far end of the maintenance corridor, where the light always flickered and the air carried the faint hum of machines. He cracked it open and pulled out a tin box wrapped in tape. Inside, a cracked stringing tool, 2 faded wristbands, and a photo of a boy holding a trophy bigger than his chest. The boy was him. Years ago. Back then, the world called him Falcon. Fast feet. Faster eyes. A junior champion who made crowds lean forward and forget to blink. The courts were his second home. The first was a small apartment that smelled like cardamom tea and books. Then life happened. A storm you never plan for. He met Syra at a public court. She laughed at his serves and handed him a mango ice pop. They married. Noor arrived. Then sickness crept in like a shadow under a door. Hospital corridors. Cold benches. Promises whispered over crumpled tissues. When Syra slipped away, the sound inside him broke. He packed every racket in a box and became invisible on purpose. Nights mopping floors. Days making breakfast, packing lunches, tying shoelaces. Tennis became a ghost. "Baba." Noor's voice bounced off the corridor walls. She sprinted in, school uniform slightly crooked, ponytail swinging, cheeks lit with excitement. "Are you really going to play the boss?" Ryan knelt, smoothing her shirt. "Just for fun." She squinted. "For fun, and for Mama's promise." Their promise. The one made in a hospital room. "Take care of others like you wish someone had taken care of us." He nodded. "Exactly that." Noor tugged his wristband over his hand. "We're the lucky one." He laughed softly. "It's just cloth." "It's magic," she said, serious. It remembers how you move. Back on the court, the crowd had multiplied. A couple of local reporters materialized. Someone set up a live stream. The interns muttered about content. The CEO checked the time. An older man, Mr. Coddy, the security guard who'd watched this building for 15 years, stood at the back fence. Yellowing newspaper clippings flickered through his mind. A teenage boy with a gravity-defying jump. A local headline, Falcon flies. He leaned to the young guard beside him. You see his grip. Eastern forehand, loose wrist. Not common. Not wrong. Just specific. The young guard shrugged. He's a janitor, sir. Mr. Coddy's eyes narrowed. We'll see. Alina practiced a few serves, each one landing like a signature on expensive paper. Ready, she called. Ryan walked to the baseline. The court felt both foreign and familiar, like returning to a childhood home that's been repainted. He bounced on his toes. Listened to the rubber whisper of his shoes. Tasted the metallic tang of nerves. He lifted his racket and closed his eyes for half a breath. Syra's laughter. Nor's tiny hand in his. The promise. When he opened them, the net seemed closer. The lines clearer. The air thinner. A quiet clicked into place, a clock inside his ribs, counting out rhythm. Ready, he said. The first serve came like a bullet, and it wasn't from the CEO. The ball sprang from Ryan's fingers and soared up, into a slice of blue. He met it with a clean snap. Not heavy. Not showy. Just, true. It kissed the tee. A perfect ace. The crowd made a confused sound, half gasp, half laugh. The intern with the phone lowered it a fraction. Alina's head tilted. Lucky, she said. Ryan didn't answer. He bounced the next ball. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. Breathe out. The past loosened its grip. He served again, wide this time. Not all speed. Disguise. The CEO lunged, got a frame on it, and the return skidded into the net. 15:30, someone called, badly pretending to be an umpire. Alina adjusted her visor. The joking edge dimmed. She tossed, coiled, and unleashed a cannon. Boom. Ryan slid, gliding on the balls of his feet, and cushioned the return cross-court. She chased, chopped it back deep. He pivoted, the quarter compass under him, and floated a backhand down the line, a whisper of a shot that landed on the chalk and puffed a tiny cloud. The sound it made was addictive. Like promise. Who is he? The young guard muttered. Mr. Coddy's throat tightened. Someone who didn't forget. The set grew teeth. Rally after rally. Shoes squeaked. Strings sang. Sweat collected at the bend of Ryan's elbow, cool when the breeze found it. He kept the points short when he served, long when she did. Make her work. Make her breathe. Make the court tell the truth. Alina's forehand was forceful, engineered. She liked dictating. But the janitor, this quiet man, refused to be pushed. He redirected pace the way a river redirects leaves. Nice shot, she said after a knife-edged volley. Thank you, he said, genuine. People leaned in. The executives stopped checking emails. The clients forgot to brag. The interns forgot to add filters. Nor pressed her face to the fence, eyes huge. Go, Barber, she whispered, as if he could hear through the roar. At 5-4 on his serve, the sky changed moods. A fringe of clouds pulled across the sun, muting the light to a pewter glow. The wind rose, carrying the scent of rain and hot asphalt. Someone shouted, tiebreak incoming, and someone else said, no, he could close it now. Ryan wiped his palm on his shirt. He bounced the ball. He saw Syra sitting on a hospital bed, teasing him, hit the corners, Falcon. He smiled, just a flicker. Alina stepped inside the baseline. Aggressive. Ready to pounce. Ryan tossed. Contact. The ball curved like it had a secret, skidding at her hip. She stabbed. The return floated high. He could have crushed it. He waited. Let it fall. Then feathered a drop shot that barely hopped. Silence. Then a ragged cheer. Game point, the intern croaked. Rain teased the air, fat, exploratory drops that spotted the clay like coins. The world went hushed, as if the court itself wanted to listen. Ryan spun the ball in his hand. No tricks. No drama. Just the serve he'd learned at 10, in shoes that pinched and a heart that didn't. Toss. Reach. Crack. Ace. The bleachers erupted. Even the ones who had laughed clapped because greatness, however small, however short-lived, demands respect. Alina's jaw flexed. She walked to the net and touched it with her racket. One set, she said evenly. You've got more than mop water in your veins. The rain thickened, cool and impatient. Break, someone suggested. Alina shook her head. No. We finish. A reporter sprinted in from the gate, waving a damp newspaper clipping and shouting a name that hadn't been heard in years, Falcon. The clipping fluttered like a wounded bird. The reporter, cheeks flushed, breathless, pointed at Ryan. It's him, she panted. It's the Falcon. Junior Nationals. The boy who vanished. Phones turned. Mouths opened. Even the rain seemed to lean closer. Alina's fingers tightened on her racket. Something unreadable passed over her face, surprise, then calculation, then something softer, like respect trying to find a place to sit. Ryan didn't look at the clipping. He kept his eyes on the service line, the clean geometry of the court. That boy is gone, he said quietly. But I remember how he moved. Mr. Coddy exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for a decade. I knew it, he whispered. They swapped sides. The court smelled like wet brick and adrenaline. Water beaded on the strings. Ryan flexed his hand, the old wristband soaked dark, clinging like memory. You made a bet, Alina said as they passed. Her voice had lost its sugar. I keep mine. He looked at her. Rain made stars in her lashes. So do I. The game restarted in weather that wanted attention. The ball skidded low. Footing mattered. So did nerve. Each point was a tiny mirror, reflecting who they were when it counted. Ryan shifted down a gear, not slower, just calmer. He played with edges, not hammers. He made the ball talk. Short. Deep. High. Skidding. He found patterns and broke them on purpose. He surprised her, then surprised himself with how good it felt to choose joy again. Between points, the reporter narrated into her phone, live, viewers, the janitor is a former prodigy known as Falcon, disappeared from the circuit after a family tragedy. Ryan heard that word and put it aside like a cup you don't need right now. At 6-6, the set drifted toward a tiebreak. First to 7, someone said. Noor pressed her palms together, knuckles white. Please, please, she whispered. For Mama's promise. They traded mini breaks. 2-2. 3-2. 3-3. Every point a fist now. Court lines slick. Breath loud. The CEO's forehand whipped, earning her a cruel short ball that died in the rain. 4-3, Alina. Then Ryan stepped inside a second serve and lasered a backhand that kissed the corner. 4-4. Who taught you to do that? She asked, incredulous, almost admiring. Life, he said. 5-4, Ryan. 2 points from finishing a story he never intended to start. The wind carried an echo, whispers in the crowd. He could do it. Imagine if, the benefits my wife needs. He heard that last one and swallowed hard. Alina bounced on her toes, recalibrating. She served body. He slid away and chip-blocked a return that forced her up. She attacked the net, bold, correct. He skimmed a passing shot down the line, a needle threading a storm. 6-4. Match point. Everything slowed. Rain softened into a hush. Ryan rolled his shoulders. The world narrowed to Felton strings and a thin white line. He looked at Noor. She lifted both thumbs and mouthed something. He didn't catch the words, but he knew the meaning. Alina tossed. The ball rose. Her arm uncoiled. Ryan saw it, the tell in her shoulder, the fraction of hips. Wide serve. He moved before the ball knew it was meant to curve. Feet light. Grip loose. He took it early, on the rise. Not a cannon. A scalpel. The shot knifed cross-court, landed shallow, and barely stood up. She lunged. Her racket met air. The ball kissed clay, left a wet comma, and stopped. Silence. Then the sound. Not applause. Not first. A sound like air leaving 1,000 lungs at once. A release. The crowd erupted. It rained and it didn't matter. People stood, shouted, cried, laughed, filmed, forgot to film, remembered to feel. Noor's scream reached the clouds. Mr. Coddy wiped his eyes and didn't pretend he wasn't. Ryan let the racket fall to his side. Water dripped from the frame like it was crying too. Alina walked to the net. Her expression stripped of performance. Up close, she looked human, not headline. "You win," she said. "And I was cruel." He shook his head, gentle. "You were careless. And that costs more than money." He tilted his chin toward the building, toward the people who made it run. "Keep the marriage joke. Keep your pride if you need it. But keep your word most." The visor was soaked. She lifted it off and let the rain touch her face. "I'll keep it," she said. "All of it." As the crowd cheered again, Alina leaned in like she was about to tell a secret of her own. "There's something you don't know about why I said yes to that bet." They stood under the awning while the rain wrote music on the roof. The crowd hovered at a respectful distance, buzzed, electric. Noor clung to Ryan's waist, damp and beaming. The reporter's mic waited, red light pulsing like a heartbeat. Alina took a breath. No visor. No mask. "When I was 12, she said, voice low, "my father lost his job. We lost our insurance. My little brother was sick. A stranger paid our hospital bill. He signed the form for someone else one day. I built a company thinking I'd become that someone. Somewhere along the way," she looked out at the suits, the lenses, the umbrellas. "I started mistaking power for goodness." Ryan listened the way some people pray. He didn't speak. She turned to him. "I mocked you. I made you into a story for my entertainment." Her jaw flexed. "No more stories like that." She lifted her chin at the CFO hovering near the stairs. "Draft the new policy. Today. Full coverage for every cleaner, every guard, every cafeteria worker. Scholarships. Childcare stipends." And she glanced at Noor, a kids' creativity lab on the ground floor. "Paint. Music. Books. Sports." The CFO blinked, opened his mouth, closed it, nodded. Applause rose like a tide. Not corporate courtesy. Relief. Joy. People hugged. People cried. People made phone calls that started with, "You won't believe this." The reporter finally found her voice. "Ryan, how does it feel, Falcon, to win a bet like this?" He smiled at Noor first. "Like keeping a promise." "And your future?" she asked, hopeful. "Back to tennis? Back to the circuit?" He looked at his hands, at the soft scars time had left. "Back to life," he said. "Maybe I'll coach. Maybe I'll start a free clinic on the public courts Saturday mornings. Maybe I'll just make breakfast on time." He ruffled Noor's hair. "Definitely that." Alina cleared her throat. "About the marriage part." The crowd giggled. She met his eyes. "You were right to change the stakes. You didn't need me to rescue you. You rescued a part of me I'd almost buried." He chuckled. "We rescued something together." A hush settled, sweet and full. Then the building doors opened, and the first wave of staff stepped out. Housekeeping, security, cafeteria, maintenance, faces lifted into rain like flowers. Someone started chanting his name. He shook his head, pointed to them. "It's for you. For all of you." Noor tugged his sleeve. "Barbara, can we show them the secret?" He blinked. "The secret?" Then he laughed, really laughed. "All right." They walked back onto the soaking court. He took the old racket in both hands and spun it. "One last thing," he called out. "When my wife was in the hospital, she'd say, 'If you ever come back to tennis, come back smiling.' I couldn't. Not then. Today I can." He tossed the ball, jumped, and hit a left-handed serve. Gasps. Laughter. Even Alina clapped a hand over her mouth. Ambidextrous. The crowd went wild as the ball exploded near the line, A flash of the boy he'd been and the man he'd become, stitched together by rain. He bowed, not theatrical, just grateful. The racket dropped to his side again, heavy and light at the same time. Alina stepped close, not too close, just enough for truth. Coffee. As friends who made a promise happen? He nodded. As friends. They stood there for a moment, just breathing. Rain in their hair. Caught lines bleeding into puddles. A building behind them that was about to feel different inside. Ryan looked at Noor. Ready to go home? She grinned. Only if we stop for mango ice pops. He laughed. Deal. They walked away with the crowd parting like a wave, the old coach saluting, the guards clapping, the interns forgetting to caption the moment because living it felt better. Now pause with me. If you were in that crowd, if you had laughed first, would you have clapped last? Would you have changed? What would you have bet for if you were Ryan? Money, pride, or a promise that helps everyone? And if you were Alina, what's one way you'd use your power at work to make life fairer for the people who keep the lights on?